In this video, I'm going to show you how to adjust local subject contrast when pretty much everything in the image is all the same color. And we're going to do this in Photoshop and Adobe Camera Raw. So for this image, converting it to black and white, I'll hit Command or Control J just to duplicate the layer. I don't want to work on the original. And I'll just hit Command Shift U, which is the keyboard shortcut for desaturate. As I've mentioned in other videos, desaturate is the quickest and possibly the worst way to convert an image to black and white. I say worst only from the standpoint of you don't have a ton of control. It basically neutralized all the color channels and they had the exact same levels of gray, allowing no further color channel manipulation. This particular image doesn't matter because it's all the same color. The heart shape and the background are all from the same material and color. I'll hit Command or Control Z just to undo that. So a gradient map is probably the better, quicker way of converting something to black and white. So a gradient map adjustment layer, it looks like the grayscale is inverted. So all you have to do is hit reverse. So that looks better than just the desaturated, right? So I either have here or here. So notice automatically the algorithms for the gradient map are better from the get-go. So I'll delete that hue saturation layer, but it's still not where I want it to be, right? I think I'll try making the heart a little brighter, the background a little darker, just to poke it out a bit more.
Poke it out a bit more is a technical term for enhancing the local subject contrast to create higher visual interest by establishing a wider tonal difference within the scene. So here, basically I'm trying to make the heart shape brighter and the background darker. For me, I would compress everything to the top layer at this point by hitting Command Option Shift letter E, and I would look at it as its own image now. So first, I would say probably the quick way to do it, you hit Command or Control J to duplicate it again and let blend modes do the work for me. So I can either darken everything and see how it's looking. And now I can maybe go to screen, see how that's looking. Okay. I'm liking aspects of both. Go to the contrast side. I think this is getting me even closer, faster the way I'd want to go. So I'd probably leave a soft light blend mode, toggle that on and off. So I like the contrast that's getting me. But now I'm going to hit Command or Control J again, and I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply because I like how dark that's getting, but that's getting too dark, right? Lower the opacity, add a layer mask because we want to recover that heart. Hit B for brush, or you could come all the way over here, hover over the brush tool and click it. The keyboard shortcuts will really save you time. I'll hit the left bracket key to make it smaller. That's a lot quicker than coming all the way up to this disclosure triangle, toggling it open, dragging this. Is that the right size? No. Is this the right size? No. It's a lot quicker just to tap the left and right bracket key to get the brush exactly where you want it. So I'm painting at 100% right here in the opacity. So let's see how that's looking. I like that. I'd probably go for a bigger brush and just tap 5 to change my opacity automatically to 50%. So there are 3 ways. I could either do the longest way, the disclosure triangle, and drag it. The next best way, which is one of my favorites, is just to hover over the word and your cursor will change to a scrubby slider, allowing you just to manually drag it quickly. And then again, you have the keyboard shortcuts of just hitting the number. So that's really kind of help pull the viewer's eye to this center part. I like where that's going. So now I would hit Command Option Shift letter E, compress all of my adjustments to the very single top layer. And now I want to go tweak it in Adobe Camera Raw. So I don't want to tweak what is now my new original in my mind. So I'm going to hit Command or Control J, go to the Camera Raw filter, and these adjustments you can do in Lightroom as well because ACR and Lightroom have the exact same engine under the hood. And this is a good image where I might want to boost the clarity a bit. Yeah, bring out that all the spectral densities of the highlights and shadows, maybe make it just a touch darker. See if I need to pull down those highlights a bit, maybe open up the shadows just a little bit. And I've got to be careful with the texture. Do you see how it's bringing out all these little white dots? I don't think I want the white dots. I want to de-emphasize those if anything. So I like where I'm going with this a lot, but I think I'd still want to manipulate this heart a little more. So I'd grab an adjustment brush. I'd tap the plus sign on the exposure, which resets all of my triangles and gives me a half a stop plus. I'll type, again, the right bracket key works here, and I'll just paint. And if you can't see where it's being painted, toggle on the mask. That way you can see what's being painted. Let me scroll down, make sure I have auto mask on. I do. I just need to make my brush smaller, I guess, so it does a better job. I'm going to toggle that color of the mask off so I can see what's going on. So now let's go back and make a big adjustment. So obviously I don't want it that bright, but I wouldn't mind having it a little brighter. Maybe I'd bring up the shadows of just that area, but pull down the blacks and try the dehaze again just to see what kind of texture I can get
inside of that. I really like where that's going. Make sure I'm not blowing out the highlights. Go back to the main screen, add a post-crop vignette because that's what photojournalists have taught us to do to keep the viewer from leaving the border of the image. Click OK. So this was my adjustment in ACR. This is before, which is already better. Actually, let's go back and look at things. I'm going to select all of these, hit Command or Control G just to group them, turn the eyeball off. What I'm going to do is desaturate this. Remember, Command Shift U just for the quickest desaturation. So let's look at where we came from. So this is the original color. We know when we do a basic desaturate with the colors identical, we're not going to have local subject contrast. So this is after all of the Photoshop manipulations with layer masks and burning, dodging, and blend mode. And already that's much more powerful. And then I took the image to ACR, which you could take it to Lightroom, and pushed it this much further. So now you have to decide, well, did I go too far? And if you think you went too far, just lower the opacity of your latest conversion and it kind of gives you the best of both worlds. Now let me show you one other thing to consider. If I hit Command Option Shift letter E again, and I'm going to grab everything again and hit Command or Control G just to clean up my layers panel. So let's go back. Here's the original. Here's the desaturated version where there's no localized subject contrast. And here's my final approach. And I'm looking at it and I like the direction I've gone, but I've probably gone a little too far. So I'd probably even still add a layer mask to this. Hit B for the brush tool. I'm at 40% opacity. I'd probably just subtly lighten up this area just a little bit. And that's a little too much lightening up, I would say. So I hit Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, make my brush smaller, maybe hit 20%, 2 for 20%. Maybe I'd brighten up this little area. Maybe I'd just not let that go so dense. So now I feel like I have kind of the combination, the best of both worlds, where I'm getting a lot of local subject contrast drama versus the straight desaturate. Remember, it's up to you to tell the viewer what's important in this image, and you can drive their interest and what they're attracted to by understanding that all people, look at the brightest part of a print or the most sharply focused first, and then that's what their eye constantly wants to go back to. Hey, what are you still doing here? It's over. Go home.
Yes! That's awesome! What? You just took one in the jugular, man! Whoa! Yes! Oh my god! Oh my god, I did! Is this bad? Is this bad? You should pull that out.
Hey, you stayed to the end. You know what that means? You're awesome. I'm talking about you. Now get out of here.